Double R Flo-Town. We have the Floyd men with us today.
Matt and Madison. We're excited to have them.
Thank you guys for coming. We've been talking about this for a few weeks. I've been excited. Hard to nail you down when you're in town, so we're glad we were able to get you while you're here. I think you're about to head out of town again soon, aren't you?
Yes, sir, on Wednesday.
So I feel like most everybody knows you guys, especially here in town, but just kind of reintroduce yourself a little bit just for the people that don't know, and then we'll jump into some more of the things that we really want to talk about.
All right, great. I'm Matt Floyd. I was born and raised here in Florence. Went to school here, Florence Christian School. Got into business, specifically healthcare. Trinity Healthcare Staffing was the name of the company that I ran here in town for years, and I sold it about 10 years ago.
Wow, it's been that long.
It has been. It doesn't seem like
that's crazy.
It seems like yesterday, but
Yeah.
it's been 10 years ago.
Wow.
You started as a registered nurse even, right? Or
I did.
Yeah.
I worked as a nurse, worked at McLeod for a while, and then I got into travel nursing. You know, I started doing the little jobs here and there, bouncing all over the state, and just ended up, getting into it that way.
build a business that way.
You kind of saw something. You were like, hold on, I see a need here, and
Yeah, that's
you
that's
figured
exactly
out how to fulfill it.
Right, and kind of it was one of those things where I did it. I think I was more motivated by just getting into the business side and getting out of nursing. I did nursing for a few years, but it wasn't my cup of tea. Right, it's just I didn't really enjoy it, and as I got more and more nurses to come work for the company, I was able to shift into like more the business side.
The heyday of Trinity, how many people did you have working there and nurses? I mean, you guys it grew fast.
It was right around somewhere between 800 and 850 people.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number because it's been so long ago. But yeah, we did business all over the country except for New York and California because we chose not to.
Genius.
I'd like to talk more about that, but I know we have.
Yeah. Was Florence a good place to headquarter that company, you feel like?
Well, that was tough. That was, and that'll take me down a couple different paths,
we won't go.
We competed with, billion-dollar companies that were, or several $100-million companies that were based in much bigger cities.
Yeah.
San Francisco, Boca Raton, Florida, and here we are, it's Florence. And I really struggled as the business grew to get really quality C-level people to come move to Florence.
Right.
They take our Flo-Town airport, and they're like, whoa, this is not much here.
Yeah.
Compared to San Francisco, on
Boca
the water,
Raton.
or Boca Raton.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing was I had some great executive level people locally here, and we just figured out how to do the remote model way before.
Before it was
way
a thing.
before COVID.
Wow.
Yeah, we had, this 15 years ago, we had recruiters and account managers that lived in New York, New Jersey, Florida, California, and everybody would just zoom in on one big screen and have a meeting, and there we go.
That was pretty high tech at that time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
it was
pretty
fun.
cool.
It was fun to do.
Yeah. So what are you guys up to now? 10 years later, you're grown up in college.
Yes.
What's going on now, guys? What are the Floyd men up to?
He's a world traveler. He's all over the place, but
It's a lot easier when you live over that way.
Yeah.
So tell everybody where you are living, Madison, kind of what you've been doing. You're 23. When you graduated high school, where did you graduate high school, and then kind of from there to now, what have you been up to?
Right. So briefly, I'll just say I kind of grew up around here as well. I bounced around, though. I lived in Ohio with my mom for a while, but I remember being at Trinity Healthcare back in the day, annoying all the workers.
You were the little man running around.
Oh, yes.
With the good hair.
I was trouble even back then. And then ended up coming back down here. I went to Camden Military for a little while.
Cool.
It wasn't a punishment. It was my choice. And then, I graduated online because I graduated in 2020. That was a pity. And then, it was a tough year, but
I bet.
Got into working right after. I applied to CFC and College of Charleston, but I didn't end up going. A lot of reasons, costs. At this time, all the classes were online.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not paying $35,000 a year for online classes.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Smart.
So just stuck around working for a little while out at the lodge he had near Sumter.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly a war started, and we kind of got involved. I think he tells that story a little bit better, but I started going over there a lot to help out in Ukraine, passing through Poland a lot. Made a lot of friends, and long story short, I just ended up going to study there because that was where kind of my heart was at the time, still is. Didn't move.
So what connected you guys to the Ukraine war? Tell us a little bit about how that connection happened.
Have you ever had one of your children just call you out, like on something?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what it was. I'd be sitting around the house watching the news, throwing my shoes at the TV, and cussing Putin and why is this happening? And he just was walking through one day, and he was like, "Why do you do that? You can do something about it." So,
wow,
we did.
The light bulb kind of hit.
Well, I mean, it was like he took a swing and the punch landed.
Wow.
I was like,
I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, you were just being honest.
He was.
Just from the heart. Wow.
So we connected with, have you ever heard of a group that's headquartered in Florence called OM Ships?
Yes.
Okay, the bigger organization, OM, is the global entity. They're in 130 countries.
Yeah.
We connected with them and ended up catching a flight to Poland within just a few months.
Wow.
And we met some other people with other organizations and just spent a while working at the Polish-Ukrainian border while all this mass of people were trying to come out of Ukraine into Poland. Yeah. It was quite a spectacle, but we ended up, just meeting a lot of really, really great people and making some close friends. And I think they were, to give a little backstory of Madison, I remember Madison became obsessed at sometime 14, 15 years old with World War II. And by the time he was 18 or 19, right around the time that all this was happening, I remember telling my son, we had an agreement that I would buy all the books he wanted to read. That was,
if he would read them, you'd buy it.
I'd buy it. And I remember going to him and saying, this hard, I can't even believe what I'm saying, but I was like, every book from Amazon that you can get from Amazon, the world's largest bookseller, on the subject of World War II, even remotely, I was like, you own it.
And have read it.
And have read it.
Wow.
Sometimes more than once.
Wow.
And he just kind of laughed it off. But that was the connection, because it's hard to explain. We get to Warsaw. He's never been to Warsaw, but I'm following him around the city because he knows where he's going. He sees a memorial, and he's like, oh, if we go up here, we take a left, and there's going to be another. It's right up here. How do you know that?
That had to be amazing for you.
From the pictures.
It still is.
And
wow.
Well, the Warsaw Uprising, it was very involved. Warsaw was, a big part of everything that went down in World War II. And it's so neat to actually be there. Well, it's sad, but it's neat if you're a student of it, how several sections that are famous, and they're in the pictures, where they might have lined up, Polish Jews and just shot them. Well, the city was destroyed, but certain sections are still there, and they built the town back around those to leave them as a memorial.
Wow.
So I want to go back to that moment in the living room. You're watching the news. You're back home. You've probably been in Poland for at least a year, maybe right around that. You hear your dad kind of making comments about what we're receiving from the American news about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. And you've got a certain understanding of that, or at that time, your son's been living in Poland. You've developed, I guess, a different perspective. So tell me what your perspective was, Matt, and how it's changed as you've both been over there as well as learned from your son kind of firsthand experience.
It's actually, we had just a minor correction. We had never been to Poland before that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going into my fourth year
Mm-hmm.
living
Okay.
here. So
Okay.
that was straight up our very first experience in Europe at all.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I had never been overseas.
So how is your perspective? Because we're talking to a bunch of Americans right now, at least on this podcast, and there's obviously a lot of contention between, what to understand, what is right, what is true about what's going on over there. So you've been over there now. Help us out.
You want to take it?
I think you just gave him a loaded question.
Yeah, that's
a lot to
broad
answer.
stroke of
That was very.
an abstraction.
We might-
Let's start in the year 1500 and work our way up.
Even that statement, though, is very helpful because
When you understand history, you understand what can happen in the present time a little differently. But yeah, take us there, guys. Take us
It's
there.
been really amazing to watch him. He is, and he's my son, and he hates when I brag on him. He really, really does. And I'm not bragging. I'm just communicating what I see. He becomes a student of wherever he wants to go, and he's got the worst travel bug of anybody I've ever met. He wants to go see everywhere. And so before we ever got to Poland, he had, he's reading Polish history, Ukrainian history, the relationship between the Ukrainians and the Russian. I mean, he knows all this before we get over there. So he was kind of a hit with the Polish people when we got there because he actually knew a lot.
Oh, I'm sure they love that.
They ate him up.
Yeah.
They're just like, yes, an American that actually knows something about Europe. And the Ukrainian people view him the same way. I mean, he walking through Poland or Ukraine, a lot of times he'll be like, yeah, that's the guy that was, 1775. I'm like, what?
It's just, I've always tried to, I've been studying there this is my third year now, and top of the class, and I worked for that, but a lot of people are unused to seeing an American do well in an intelligent field.
Yeah.
And I say that not as a jab against all of us, but a reality that most people think of Americans as very stupid people.
Well, we've gotten lazy.
Yeah, and the neglect of everything else in life besides, your immediate future, I think is pretty rife here in the States. And I try to counteract that narrative when I'm over there, showing people that, Americans can do really well. We can be educated as well. We're not all this sort of monolithic stereotype that you guys have imagined us to burger eating, waving my flag everywhere.
Yeah,
we can have respect for things. And
it's very neat to just the cultural experience. You and I were talking the other day. You'd love to go over there with me.
I'd like to go with you guys.
Well, I'm telling you,
Let's go.
it's the most educational thing. You just come back more well-rounded. Like, what do you think of when you think of university? You think of Clemson, Carolina, and tailgating, and that's what our students are doing. It's serious business over there.
Wow.
The students show up dressed like they're going to a funeral. They got their little ties on, nice clothes, and it is serious.
You have to wear that?
You don't.
it's not a rule. It's more of like an unspoken rule. Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of international students will dress down, but all the Polish students are dressed up.
Wow.
And it's serious. They're serious about their education. He doesn't have to take, fluff courses over there.
No.
Sewing 201 or whatever it is. The courses are to educate him on a specific subject.
Are they hammering natty lights every afternoon, or not much of that?
We'll do some of that.
Okay.
Students are still students anywhere in the world,
Okay,
I'd say.
good.
We do have fun. My apartment's a known place to gather.
Okay.
But there's no frat sorority culture. That is completely alien. People think of it like a Hollywood movie. Like, we will, go out, drink a lot, and the next day we're still at class at 8 a.m. and nobody misses.
Right.
Because missing a class is, that'd deduct points from your grade, and then they won't let you pass to the next year. It's very serious.
Wow.
I'd say Ivy League rules in the States are about every university's rules there.
And what's the cost of college there?
No, you won't believe me. I think, actually, we said it earlier. Just in passing, but yeah. My tuition per year is $3,000.
For the whole year?
Yeah.
And what would Clemson be this year?
I 40, 50, I don't
60,
know. I
think.
wouldn't know. At least 45, I'd
Well,
say.
my daughter is in school in Ohio, and her tuition's 82, I think,
Wow.
a year.
Yeah.
And she's got scholarships, too.
And that's the only reason she got to go to that
Right.
school. Because she got some big scholarships. But,
The system's broken.
It is.
The
It is.
system's broken.
Yeah.
and it's where he goes to school globally is much higher ranked than most of our schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much, much higher ranked.
You win some, you lose some. Sometimes I get a little bit of FOMO for American universities,
Yeah,
I walk around CFC and I'm like, man, these guys are having so much fun. But at the end of the day, that the statistics bear out that college kids in the States do not find themselves in their chosen degree. So that money is kind of just wasted on having fun. And I can have fun, and I also get a degree that is actually going to impact what I do.
I think you are right where you were born to be.
Maybe
Wow.
so.
What degree are you going for?
I'm in politics. So
Oh,
over
nice.
there it works a lot different than here. I don't have any of the fluff courses like he said. We
Yeah.
also study international relations, so I could go into either field if I wanted to. And it's a heck of a place to be studying politics right now.
This might be our next ambassador. You'd be the ambassador
I'd
for
like
the U.S. in Poland.
Good job.
He amazes me.
Quit bragging, come on.
He's almost completely fluent in Polish, which
Wow.
he has to be to graduate. That's a requirement.
Yeah.
And but he's got really, really close Ukrainian friends. So those are two different languages, and I'll hear him speaking some Ukrainian, and then we
Really?
get on we're in Munich, and we're flying from Munich to Warsaw, and he's having a 5-minute conversation with the flight attendant in German, and I'm like, how many?
Wow.
But that's part of the culture over there. Everybody is
Speaking several different.
Multilingual.
Wow.
everybody. It's English and Polish and Ukrainian and Russian, but geographically, I think it causes
It's
that.
necessary.
It's like South Carolina, we speak one language, and North Carolina speaks another, and Georgia speaks another, and Florida speaks another. That's how it is. So these people learn how to communicate with
And you guys have gotten pretty connected over there, in Poland
Yes.
and Ukraine. I mean, when you go over there, you're meeting with governors and officials. I mean, you guys are deeply entrenched.
Right. Right, we
Do a
are.
lot of work over there.
So what are you doing over there?
We do a lot. we have our foundation here in Florence that him and my grandfather founded back in the day.
The Madison Floyd Foundation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And it used to deal with just Florence, South Carolina, and some minor international stuff. Then we found OM, and
Yes.
we kind of branched out completely. And it was set just perfectly when the war started for us to really just expand our humanitarian aid into Ukraine, kind of as a disaster relief sort of thing. Yeah, and we've done that since the war started, since like March 22. And it's convoys of aid, it's rebuilding houses, it's putting heaters in when the Russians strike the power infrastructure and nobody has heat in the winter. We put heaters in the houses, evacuate people from the front lines. We even give money to some organizations that write up reports of war crimes and stuff. Sort of trying to help people in every way that we can.
Yeah, I think it's probably good to point out this organization, when we first got there, all of Poland was in like chaos because here you've got Warsaw, a city of 2 million people, and very quickly it was 3 million people because all these Ukrainians are just getting out. So all these little towns on the edge of, Poland are just, the churches are full, the civic centers where they have concerts, they got Ukrainians sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's all just women and children mostly.
Yeah.
Because the men are fighting.
Yeah.
So it was a crisis. It was a true humanitarian crisis.
Yeah.
And this organization had a small little office in Warsaw, and we have really helped them over the years expand that organization to help. It's widows, it's orphans, it's young widows, little old ladies that lost their husband, and they speak Ukrainian, can't speak Polish maybe, but they're stuck and they've got nowhere to go. This organization takes very good care of those people.
And that organization is sort of like a thoroughfare for what we do from Ukraine, sort of a lifeline, I'd say. Yeah. Warsaw is a safe place, at least for now, and they have a big center of aid there where everything's kind of coagulated, and they help people inside of Ukraine with some of our other organizations we partner with. And it's just sort of a meeting place for all those trying to go east to help.
This helps me understand how passionate you are about it. When you hear, you guys have relationships. I mean, you have relationships with women and children who are in need, and that's how your heart connects to this.
There's so many things that have happened. I've got a crazy story. The very first time we show up at the border, we're in an OM van, so we get to drive around all the traffic, and we get up there, and we're, trying to help these people. And it's a little foggy for me, so if I say something it's not exactly right, you correct me, but these two girls were in the process of getting kidnapped by a sex trafficker on the Ukraine side.
Yeah.
And the guards, most of which are women in their 20s, guns drawn and everything, catch this guy and save these two girls. Well, they come back to the church that we were working at. We meet them. We've been friends with them ever since.
The two girls that were almost captured.
Were almost. So can you imagine trying to get out of Ukraine? Your house is getting bombed, and you're sitting in a car line, and then this guy comes and tries to take both of you in a van. And luckily, very, very fortunately, a lady that we were working with saw it going down, and they ended up being rescued. And every time we go over there, they come to us from wherever they're
Really?
at. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think what's standing out to me is, I'm listening to you guys from the average American seat, and from the average American trying to understand what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and who's what. It's a political argument. But you're coming over here, or you're coming back here saying, this is a humanitarian issue, not a political. It is a political issue, but there's a humanitarian crisis that's going on.
Well,
it's very one-sided. It's a political issue simply because it's not a two-sided humanitarian issue. If both sides were suffering in this way, we might say it's a purely humanitarian issue. But it's not. It's one side being inflicted pain.
We can get to the politics. We'll get into the weeds here in a minute on the Russia-Ukraine and what we have experienced. But just to try to paint a backdrop of we're not the only people that have just decided, okay, I'm gonna go over there and see what I can. We know people from Charleston. There's 2 doctors that they did the same thing, and we didn't know about each other, but we've since met.
Yeah.
But they just were like, okay, I'm gonna go over there and see what it's about. That's really, was I passionate about going over there and doing some good? It was more curiosity. I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
I knew I hate Putin. I know that, but I didn't know anything about Ukraine. Well, I think we were both just shocked by Polish people, by Ukrainian people, by there's so many adjectives that I could just drop that I think a lot of both Polish people and Ukrainian people. But once we got over there and we saw all the devastation and the families ruined and lives lost that from just the initial invasion, and of course it's gotten worse and worse and worse as time has gone on. And there's so many nasty things that the Russian army is guilty of, and Putin is guilty of.
We're not hearing about.
You are not hearing about what is actually.
I think we all have realized it now that we can't trust what we hear on the news. I think everybody in our circle's woken up to that.
Yeah.
But then that still leaves us with, we don't fully understand what's going on over there, unless you guys who have been over there and you're entrenched in it and you understand it. So what do you want us to understand about what's going on over there?
Well, there's a lot of, I would say, if I could relay anything to people, is that narratives are a very powerful thing.
They are.
And in the news media, you'll have one narrative that's dominant, usually. 2, maybe in the U.S. So it appears like, from a lot of people's standpoints in the States, this narrative was pushing Ukraine as the good guy, therefore they have to kind of put a counter-narrative on. And there's only 2 sides in a war, right? And even if that doesn't lead a lot of people to siding with Russia, they're still skeptical. And what we kind of want to push back against that and say, just because this narrative has been established by the news media does not make that narrative true. It also doesn't make it completely false. And we have seen with our own eyes kind of changed our perspectives from completely skeptical on Ukraine in the first place, all this stuff about Hunter Biden, all that, to sort of a deeper understanding of history and how things have played out in the modern age, to where there's just really no excusing from a rational standpoint this war. Right, if, political weeds a little bit here, but, it is such that a lot of people make realist, quote-unquote, arguments back in the States. We have a dear friend, family friend of ours, and in Florence, he always calls into the Kennard show and all that, and he's always talking about something or other. And but we just have to tell him, it's the stuff that he parrots is not exactly grounded in any sort of reality. And we've been over there, but he'll argue tooth and nail with us about reality that we have seen with our own eyes, that it has some sort of other justification. That's a big problem, I think, with America today, is that you can argue with someone having been through a thing, and they don't know much about this event, but they think that their opinion holds the same weight as yours on the matter. And I think that's kind of a misunderstanding of things.
Yes, it's a fascinating reality of human experience, but it's true. Lived experience, you have it. You can't argue with that.
That's true. But I'll go back to,
let me
go for
make
it.
a comment.
Go for it. Yeah.
Because I want us to get right to your question. What have you guys seen? What's your perspective? We're Americans, and we value what more than anything else? We're freedom.
Liberty.
They're fighting for freedom. And they're
Just like we would.
extremely tenacious
Yeah.
about it. The history there is, I'm 52 years old. 1991, I was a senior in high school. Ukraine voted for its own independence. They protested. They voted themselves out away from Soviet Union, right? The Soviet Union collapsed. Ukraine all of a sudden has its independence. What people don't realize is when that happened, a third of all of the Soviet Union's nuclear weapons were in Ukraine. So all of a sudden, Ukraine is the third largest nuclear power in the world. So the US, the UK, Russia, China, France create this treaty called the Budapest Memorandum. You can look it up. It'll tell you all about what happened. But Ukraine agreed to give up their nuclear weapons, give them back to Russia, in exchange for assurances from this group of nations for against invasion permanently. So Russia is violating that agreement and invading Ukraine, and the United States isn't stepping up to the plate, and the UK, like we should be according to our own signed agreement. So right now, Trump is, hey, we're gonna get peace, we're gonna get this settled. No, we're not. I don't think. And the Ukrainians, why would they trust us anyway?
Yeah.
We're in violation of the last signed agreement.
And we have a history of betraying our allies as well.
Yeah, is there a chance Trump's playing 4D chess here a little bit? Obviously he understands 4 layers deeper than even any of us do. I'm hopeful that's the case. He is the master negotiator. Maybe he's got a plan. He's got so many other things happening too. I don't know which one you sort out first, but if you were president, what would you think would be the right path?
Well, I think even Ukrainians tend to give Trump the benefit of the doubt that he is
very much so.
He's got a plan.
Okay.
I'm a little bit more skeptical. I think if he's playing 4D chess, it's probably not for their interest, but someone in
he'll tell you that it's for America's interest.
Yeah. But
his.
Or his.
That's where he was going.
Yeah.
He ain't concerned about America.
No, I think that it's my personal opinion that the reason why Witkoff is a real estate exec that was sent to Russia to negotiate with Putin is because they want to invest in Russia.
Interesting.
And they need to normalize relations for that to happen. So they're just trying to say, get this over with quickly, stop doing that. And hopefully, I think Trump has a good idea here that he wants to get everybody to start building together, have economic cooperation, and therefore they'll stay at peace. The problem is that usually doesn't work for very long.
Not going to work with who's in charge over there.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah. And we can't really enforce that either, short of invading Russia. Nobody wants to do that here. I don't even want us to do that,
Really?
That's a horrific idea to contemplate.
There's so many things to discuss there. Trump is always slamming NATO. Okay, I can see his side of that. But he's migrated into just slamming Europe. I've heard him do that many times. And Polish people are European, and they've always had, they like Americans, and they're very, very hospitable to Americans when you're over there. I don't want that to change, but it is changing. it's kind of shifting a little bit because just a verbiage that's used that maybe is a little bit irresponsible.
So I think we've only got about 7 more minutes. What else do we need to know from y'all's lived experience, your perspective? What can you help us understand that hadn't been said yet about?
I think if I could speak to that for just a minute, and then I'll let you go. But I don't think anybody knows how brutal all of this is, how absolutely brutal it is. The first time we went into Ukraine, I had my son and my daughter with me, both of them. And we went to Bucha, and it was right after the initial invasion. And there's this church, and the Russians came in. They got 70 civilians, and rumors of rape, torture for days. And then they executed all of them by shooting them in the back of the head. And that was a moving point for me because the youngest person in that group was a 17-year-old girl, and I was standing there with my 17-year-old girl. And that's when I realized that this is nasty. Now, watching it go on for years, the Ukrainians have become very, very effective at defending themselves. Last month, how many Russian soldiers were killed?
35,000.
35,000 last month.
Killed or injured.
Wow.
Casualties. And
they're putting up a heck of a fight, aren't they?
No, they have shocked everybody. Ukraine will be remembered after this is all said and done as one of the most effective fighting forces in human history.
So they can still win. You feel like they could still win?
I think winning is
that's a relative
charged
term.
word. To win for Ukraine is to survive. To win for Russia is nothing less than everything. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think that a loss for Russia is actually a lot easier than people think. A loss for Russia would be to stop it right now.
Yeah.
And I think the difficulty is, when we talk about NATO, is why haven't Poland and Germany and everybody else stepped in? Because Russia is so weak and Ukrainians are so strong.
It's a fear. It's fear.
And it is just fear.
A nuke is a very also another charged word right there.
Yeah.
When people think about that, they step back even from their principles.
NATO is supposed to, if a NATO country is attacked by Russia, they're supposed to defend themselves. Well, I told you I was on a train in Poland going from.
You were on this. You both were on this train.
Me, my son, and his best friend over there, a Polish attorney. We were traveling, and the very next day, that train was bombed by the tracks. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to misspeak, but they blew up the tracks to try to derail the train, which would have killed a lot of people. Just so happened the train was going fast enough to jump the blown up spot, and nobody was hurt. But that was the train we were on the very following day, and I'm thinking,
we all think that they hadn't crossed that line in Poland. Like they are.
They're sending operatives into Warsaw and setting things on fire.
They burned down a mall last year, like a whole shopping mall. Late at night, of course. Nobody was in there, but yeah, it burned to the ground.
Wow.
They do a lot.
Yeah.
We consider ourselves already kind of at war in Poland.
Really?
Recently, there was a document circulated. Everybody got a letter in the mail that said "Poradnik bezpieczeństwa," which means, letter for your safety, basically. And it was instructions of what to do in the event of war. So
right now I'm
scary times.
Discussing with him, trying to find a little bunker area in town and fill it up with water and
and we are
non-perishable food and that kind of stuff.
Poland is not instigating this. People will say that back here, that we're instigating it somehow in Eastern Europe. It's nobody wants to go to war with Russia, really. I mean, some of us do as individuals, but we know what that means. But they just keep prodding, flying drones into the airspace, shutting down the airports. When I was in Copenhagen for studies, they shut down the airport 3 days in a row, just flying drones into the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I find it honorable, guys, because it's one thing to talk about this, but you guys have put your life on the line. I mean, that's how much you believe in it. You're allowing your son to go back, I mean, and because he's passionate about it, and it's a risk.
Well, he's 23.
Yeah.
Hey, I told him, I'm going to Kharkiv next Friday. And when I tell him this, I'm just sort of like telling him these days. Because used to, I'd ask permission, but you know.
Right. Hey, he's a grown man.
He is a grown man. He makes his own decisions. I don't love him going over there and bebopping around for 2 weeks at a time, but it's, he's passionate about it. And I just ask him to be careful, and that's all we can do. But back to, kind of summarize.
Yeah.
We support the Ukrainian people. We support the Polish people. I am against Putin and everything that he stands for and everything that he's doing. I think he's a mass murderer. He targets the Ukrainian women and children, and it's been that way since day one. And I just over expanding, his former Soviet empire. He doesn't mind murdering his own people, sending them 35,000 casualties a month. So it's a terrible situation, and we're doing what we can to let people know what is actually going on. And we solidly stand with the Ukrainians on this issue.
I appreciate what you guys do, and we also appreciate what you guys do here locally. We know there's a lot of things that happen locally that, you never get said, but we're passionate about Florence too, and I know you guys will always feel, Florence is home for you guys too, and so I just appreciate all you guys do.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for the conversation. Hopefully we can continue this.
I think we'll need a part 2 for sure.
All right.
I'll have to call in.
We'll call you. We'll screen you. That'd be interesting.
Let's do it.
Your dad knows how to do that from 2015.
He's the early access
That's
expert.
right. We can pull it off.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.